was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Comics League. I am Jared, and I'm here with John's Longbox. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me. How's everything?
Everything is doing splendidly. Thank you for asking. So I want to start off by asking, so what got you into comics and like doing YouTube and such?
Okay, what got me into comics? Well, I'm an older guy, so back when I was a kid, everybody was into comics.
Okay.
It wasn't just like I had 4 older brothers and sisters. So there was always comics and Archies and Fantastic Four and Avengers just around the house. And then I have millions of cousins. I'm from a big Irish Catholic family, so there's millions of kids. There was just comic books, and I was the kid that would just like take them all. Oh, here you go. You want them? Because it was disposable back then. You read the comics, you threw them away. And I'm still a shit hoarder. I collect everything, So I would take them all and read them and stack them and organize them, and the story that I always tell people in 3rd grade, I was in the worst reading group. I was lazy. I didn't like to read. And my friends were reading comic books, and I was embarrassed to admit that. Like you get the gist of comics. Marvel was especially awesome with giving you the story without the word. So I'd follow, but I missed a lot of the detail. So I started to realize that, when you go home from school, you don't do math problems, right? Math is a school activity. So I started to realize when you go home, maybe reading is something you also do at home. It's not just confined to school. So I started reading the comics, and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. Now, that was 1974. I tell people that was the year that I say that I was a full-on comic book collector. So I pretty much have every comic I've ever bought since 1974. And during COVID, I was living in New York City, and everything was crazy, and everything was shut down, and the restaurants were closing. And I'm a people person. My friends stopped coming over. I used to have game nights, and we'd go out and go to movies together and play Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm just sitting there paying high rent for nothing. My wife is working from home. I would come home from work. I'd have to be quiet because she's still working. So I'm like, we got to get out of here. We didn't know how long it was going to last. You know what I mean? So I was like, if we're going to be trapped someplace, let's be trapped in a house. All the benefits of the city no longer exist. So we moved out. I call this the sticks. My house now is cheaper than the mortgage now is cheaper than the rent in the city. And I have a house in the backyard. My wife is upstairs right now. You can't hear her. She has an office in the back. We have guest rooms, you know what I mean? And I have a comic book room, no more storage unit. So but I didn't know anybody. And COVID's still going on. So I was like, I want to talk to people about so I just turned on my camera, literally my cell phone, and I would have a comic book and I would just talk about it. I started a channel, and no joke, for about a year, I would have 3 views a video.
Same.
You know what I mean? And then one day, I don't know if you're familiar with RJ from the Fourth Age.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, he blew up because he did a video with Sargon of Akkad. And I forget who. Somebody's like, oh, you would like his videos. So I started watching his videos, and then he would start doing live streams. And I was just a guy in the comments. And he asked about how big is your comic collection. And I said, 55,000 comics. He was like, really? So I sent him a picture. And then he asked me, he's like, I want to interview people. You're a big comic book fan. Why don't I practice on you? So not live. We just did a practice interview. Later on, he published it live. And I said, that's kind of fun. I'd like to do that. So his first guest was Chuck Dixon. So I was like, can you ask Chuck Dixon if he wants to come on my channel? And Chuck Dixon said yes. Holy crap. So the first time I did it, I'm talking with Chuck, and we were laughing and joking for 2. I said, this is what I want. Comic books, we're not, I mean, first off, Chuck Dixon, who's not a fan of Chuck
Yeah,
Dixon.
exactly.
But he is like the easiest and funniest guy.
He is.
He would just, like, we would take off our glasses and wiping our eyes. We were laughing, and that just started the bug. So I just started reaching out to everybody. And once you get like Chuck Dixon, people like, yeah, Chuck Dixon's on my channel. So Mike Barron's on. And then I just started having people who watch my channel because I was just like, this is fun. So like anything about comic books, you didn't have to be a pro. You didn't have to be established, and it just got to be fun. And one thing, like Jim Shooter's coming on, Mark Millar's coming on, and Walt Simonson. I think I wore him down because I would ask him, once a month for over a year until he was like, all right, and then we had fun. And, and that's that. So somewhere during all of this, I started seeing that people were making their own comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, because I've been playing, and if I was smart, I would have had it all set up over here. But I've been playing I mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. Are you a Dungeons and Dragons guy too?
I wanted to hop into it.
Okay, so but you know what it is.
Yeah.
So I played Dungeons and Dragons as a real young kid. I'm talking like the original red box. I'm not bragging about my credentials. I'm commiserating about how old I am. So but in 1982, 83, I forget, they came out a superhero role-playing game called Villains and Vigilantes.
Okay, I remember that.
And once that came out, I never went back to Dungeons and Dragons. I literally never played Dungeons and Dragons since 1982. So I don't know. I missed the Edition Wars. I missed all of this, the Pathfinder Revolution and everything like that. I barely even know what's going on right now because it's no longer in my purview. But so I've been playing with the group of guys. We've been doing superhero adventures, and I'm a nut job. I write everything down. I keep a logbook, and then I opened up a website, and we just did a message. At one point, we had over 1,000 people talking about their superhero games. And then COVID came. I had a group out in Queens. We stopped playing. I moved out here. And then the funny thing is, my original players, they are all like retired, and they moved. I was like, oh my God. I was like, let's get the gang back together. So now I'm getting the guys that we learned to play Villains and Vigilantes with back in the 80s. We all happen to live within 15 minutes of each other. And we play one, you know what I mean? So we broke out our old characters. They're all like wise and sage, teaching the new superhero. So of course, everybody's like, we should make a comic book about this. So I started writing up scripts. I contacted an artist, and next thing you know, I just launched it. It was kind of like an impulse thing, really nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really, really proud of it. Heroic Tales 1 came out last year. In the midst of everything, I got into a car accident and broke my neck during the middle of the campaign, and it was just like every unfortunate circumstance could happen happened, and I still made the comic. So now I got a team assembled. I know who I want to work with. Just last night, I finished up a new script. I got, no joke, I got like 7 artists in various stages.
Oh, wow.
Of completion. So the first issue took a long time to make. The second issue, because I was only working with the same team, but now the third issue, I'm hoping is going to come out faster because I could just pull from a whole bunch.
Yeah,
and it's just a lot of fun. I'm breaking even. I'm not making any money on it yet, but the point is to make a fun comic book that I don't have to lay out money every issue for. That's the goal. Maybe someday, but it's fun and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like as long as you're like enjoying, because I myself wrote one that's coming out in October, but it's
cool.
like,
What's it called?
It's called Athena, the goddess of thunder.
Really? So it's funny that you said that. So you're into Greek mythology?
Yeah, and to the point where Wonder Woman is my favorite superhero.
Oh, okay. We're gonna get along really good because last night I just finished up a script. And it's based on Greek mythology. It's Shakespeare, but it's a superhero story.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
that's okay. Ken, I'm sorry. I talk too much. I apologize.
That's okay. That's why I always gravitated more toward DC, because I think of the two, DC is the one that I think weighs in on that the most, because it's like the just besides Wonder Woman, the Justice League are like the gods. They're on a satellite like Olympus and stuff. So
right, like they got the 7 main 7 heroes of the Justice League, like the 7 against Thebes, and because Marvel's got Thor, so they got the handlock on Norse mythology, which I absolutely love too. I love Thor. Based on Norse mythology too, but I love Greek mythology. Like already, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but did you get Heroic Tales #1?
I don't, but I haven't yet, but I plan to.
Okay, because you can already see that there's homages to Greek mythology. In the city itself, like it's called Science City is the location, and it was established in 2000. It was a desert in Arizona, because I read someplace that said if they could take like 10 square miles of like these deserts in Arizona and make solar panels everywhere. They can make enough power to power a city. So it's like, what if there really was like a city using that, and that was the base. And I've been to the physical location. There's actual ghost towns where it used to be, which is part of the past of science. So anyway, in the center of the town is the Colossus of Rhodes, and the main manufacturer of Science City is obsessed with Greek mythology. He's kind of fancying himself as Zeus of his modern day Olymp. So you'll see, now that you're a Greek mythology guy.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's always been my favorite. The funny part is Wonder Woman literally became my favorite superhero when we're in the middle of like one of the worst runs in the character's history. So I'm like,
it's funny because since George Perez, up until 2015, I quit DC at the New 52. Wonder Woman is one of the best comics consistently for 35 years.
Thank you.
So good.
Dude, have you read Absolute Wonder Woman?
The new one? No.
If you like Greek mythology, that is like all up. That is 100. It takes, the premise is, what if Wonder Woman was raised in hell instead of Themyscira, but she still acts like Wonder Woman? That's the key thing.
Oh, so she's still good because she's inherently good. All right.
In fact, it's like the person that raises her is Cersei, and then she redeems Cersei. Like Cersei becomes a better person because she's raising Diana.
Oh, I just want to give a shout. This is the Asgardians, Thor.
Yeah.
But this guy, what's his name? George O'Connor. He was on my channel.
I have his Greek mythology one.
I was about to recommend the Olympians. Isn't that great?
I love that. That is so cool.
To me, that is the definitive Greek mythology.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad you like it because he was a cool guy.
Have you seen on Netflix, they have a show called Blood of Zeus?
No.
So literally what it is, it's an anime-like show, but it positions the Greek gods like they're superheroes.
Okay.
Like ridiculously good.
Okay. What's it called? Blood of Zeus? I got to write that down.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, Wonder Woman has some of the best comics. It's just, then they put in writers like Tom King on the book that completely...
The funny thing is everybody complains about Tom King. I never read anything by him, so I can't complain about him. But everybody that I respect says the same thing. So
trust me, there's a saying that you could be indifferent or like Tom King until he writes your favorite superhero.
Okay, yeah.
His whole thing is that he's focused. The protagonist of the book is Steve Trevor, not Wonder Woman, and I'm like, it's a Wonder Woman book. But it's ridiculous. And then it says, how funny is it? The guy who's all about family values says a female character that promotes bondage is the best book. They don't really do that anymore. That's the thing.
Originally, it was like Dr. Marston, however you pronounce his name, he was unconventional. I'll be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what I could get away with. And I think he was a con man from the day one. I think he was promoting all this stuff just so he could get multiple women. That's why.
Me too. When I say this all the time on my show, because they came out around the time the Wonder Woman movie came out, which was awesome. They came out with like a movie about him and like how he created Wonder Woman. That movie lies.
Yeah, they made him a little bit more let's say likable or forgivable, but whatever. No. I don't know. Like he just I don't want to get into it. But but anyway, as far as I'm concerned, Superman, if you remember, was beating up regular people and throwing them across town into jail cells.
Yeah.
Batman was shooting people in the face.
I know.
All the characters that started out in the 40s are vastly different. You get the Wonder Woman of the 70s who was, fighting space pink elephants and hokey stuff was not the, and then the George Perez Wonder Woman, as far as I'm concerned, when they rebooted,
that is the best version of Wonder Woman ever.
Yeah. That was a real grounded, there was some suggestive stuff, but she's based in Greek mythology. Have you read Greek mythology, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, exactly. Every time I read a George Perez book, it doesn't matter if it's Wonder Woman or anything. The minute I see how much like stuff he's able to draw in a book, I'm like, how did you do this?
When he was working on Avengers, Kurt Busiek would give him a script and just say like, throw in a bunch of characters, throw in a bunch of Avengers. And he goes, in my mind, that meant 7, 8, He goes, I get the page back and there'd be 35 people.
I know. I'm like, how the hell do you? But yeah, you're right, Byron. It's kind of funny how you said you got out the New 52. That's when I got in.
Yeah, well, I'm older. You know, I got it. I didn't like DC as a kid.
Okay.
When I joke around saying like when we were kids, it was like a West Side Story. You know, we would be like Marvel, and my friends would be like DC. And, you know, we would play fight. But I always thought, and this I'm not even joking. This is literally how I thought. When you were a real little kid, you read Harvey comics.
Yeah.
You know, and for those of you who don't know Harvey comics, that was like Richie Rich, Hot Stuff, Wendy. And then when you got a little older, you went to Archie. And then a little older was DC. And then when you finally leveled up, you went to Marvel.
Okay.
So like I was just like I'm not going. DC is like you know, like at the same time, you know, Spider-Man is dealing with drug issues and Fantastic Four is dealing with family issues. And the Punisher is literally dealing with like
every issue,
human trafficking, and over at DC, Batman's like, somebody stole my costume. I'm gonna have to fly to Jupiter and
yeah, I know.
You know, and then, but somebody turned me on to the Legion of Superheroes.
Okay,
Jim Shooter was writing Marvel style, you know, with continuity, and you know everything kind of mattered, and characters died. And that's what got me into DC, even though the characters' names were Karate Kid, Bouncing Boy, Lightning. Like he was just like, forget the names. I know the names are bad, but this new guy, you know, we would call Jim Shooter a new guy at the time. And I followed Jim Shooter's career. He came over and he took over Marvel Comics. And that was the high point of Marvel Comics as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You know, they won me over with like Infinity Incorporated. And then the Crisis on Infinite Earths came, and that was it. I was full on, I was buying just about everything Marvel and just about everything DC up until about 2015. Much to my wife's chagrin, she's over here. The month I quit comics was the day the UPS dropped off a box. I spent $400 that month on comic books.
Oh, jeez.
And I wasn't home, and she couldn't carry this box, and we lived in a walk up, and she's carrying the box, and it's starting to rip, and she's crying. My nephew, who lived in the next building over, saw her. And and she's like tears in the eyes. She's
dragging it down the street.
She's dragging it down the street. She couldn't even carry it. And she drops this box. And then I open it up and I'm like, I don't even like these. Like my poor wife just did all of this effort, you know. So I pre-ordered. So I just stopped pre-ordering, and and it's funny because now every month I challenge myself to spend less and less on new comics. I'm still buying old comics.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but you know, I'm punching holes. I'll fill in holes in my collection.
That's what I do. It's like because like just because I loathe the current Wonder Woman run, what this has given me the opportunity to do is go back and like read all the old runs that I've really enjoyed. I mean, they just started reprinting finally the other George Perez omnibuses, so I'm like, yes, about time you did that.
Yeah, George Perez did an excellent run, and I'm trying to remember. Was it Bill Mesner-Loebs followed him up, and that was great?
I think so. Yeah, he did.
John Byrne took over, and then what was his name? Luke something. I forget, but he did a really good run.
Yeah.
There was so many good. Wonder Woman had a really good runs, but Wonder Woman never sold as well as everybody else.
Yeah, that's the weird part about it, because you would think that DC would give her more promotion because she's like a member of the Trinity. At least she's like one of the faces of the company,
and they have to publish her.
Yeah,
if they stop publishing, it goes back to the Marston estate.
Yeah, like that contract thing is like one of the most confusing things in the world, because some people like Busiek said like, okay, it's only like 1 or 2 comics per year, and then the family is like it says another thing. I never really understood that.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman, like I was just talking the other day, because we were talking about weaknesses.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, Superman's got kryptonite. They're like, Batman doesn't need a weakness. He's just a normal human. And, and they're like, but Wonder Woman is just totally invincible. She has no weakness. And I was like, that's where you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because, if a man ties her up, she loses her power. That was the original Wonder Woman weakness. If what was another one? If you get her bracelets or whatever, it was just all these hokey weaknesses.
Yeah, and exactly.
At the same time, every time she showed up, she had a new power. She could talk to animals. She could fly, Now she's like bulletproof. So what good are the bracelets, right?
Well, they go back and forth on that so many times. If if she can like stop a bullet or something like that, and I go, yeah, I get it. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, her weakness is bondage, and I go, oh, geez.
Because the original Teen Titans number 53, somebody put this on Twitter the other day. For whatever reason, Wonder Woman was fighting the Teen Titans, and Robin just takes out a string out of his utility belt. And she's helpless. Robin goes, I did my homework. I know what your weakness is.
At least, see, when they did Tower of Babel, the weakness that Batman gave for Wonder Woman is that if you put her in a fight, she will fight until her heart gives out. So what he did is he put a device in her ear that would like make her hallucinate she's fighting a threat that she's never going to beat. So her heart eventually gives out.
Right. He could have just tied her up.
Well, yeah. Well, even when they do it now, it's not just like any rope will do it. You have to tie her in the lasso of truth. So I guess that kind of balances it out a little bit, because first you have to get to the lasso of truth.
And then later on she can control it like telepathically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just throw it and it'll move around. So
it's like plot conveniences. That's what you need.
Right. That was always one of my problems with DC was they were gods.
Yeah.
Like Superman is still my favorite comic book character of all time. He is the original that everything is derived from, but it's hard to write Superman. It's hard to, I hate the representation stuff. That's all crap. But we all kind of like want to be Superman, but like Superman is just like, he is supposed to be this unattainable ideal. And I think that's what DC's been dropping the ball, trying to make him more relatable. He's not supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But, the rest of like Green Lantern, his weakness was yellow. I always thought that was just so stupid.
It gets worse. Do you know Alan Scott's weakness? Wood.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. Alan Scott was my favorite Green Lantern, and then they just changed everything, and I just don't like. Like I said, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say on your channel, but what they did to Alan Scott.
I'm not a big fan. The point where I've been getting some heat, but you know what, I'll do it anyway, is because I keep telling people, because there's this narrative that Wonder Woman's bisexual because of like some writers saying that, but I'm like, is she though? Because DC editorial never acknowledges it.
Right. I would accept a bisexual Wonder Woman.
I would, yeah. It makes sense.
It kind of makes sense if you grew up on an island of women, just women. You know what I mean? I'll buy that. I'm not going to say I prefer it or anything, but I'll buy that. But the original Jay Garrick married the original Harley Quinn, and he had 2 children, Jade and Obsidian. And Obsidian was DC Comics. This was 1984. Was DC Comics' first out gay character. And everybody loved him. Why? Because he was a new character. He didn't have a past. The few times he was told in stories, he was awkward on a date and everything like that. So it kind of fit naturally. And it didn't. And guess what? Nobody went nuts. Nobody complained. Nobody wrote to DC and boycotted. And then what do? They eliminate their original first openly gay character and then make the father gay, who, to me, you don't get to change other people's stuff. Like that is one of
exactly.
What if they change it for good reasons or bad reasons? To me, that's unforgivable. Like you don't get to change Jack Kirby. I forget the man's name who made the original Green Lantern, but he made that character this way.
Because the way that I think that happens, because they did at the same time a like Elseworlds book around the time of the New 52 called Earth 2, where it was, instead of the Justice League, it was like the Just Society characters trying to explain where they went. Alan Scott was gay in that universe, and I guess they tried to carry it over. And I go, yeah, I am 100% with you that stop changing other people, particularly when you have characters that exist that fulfill that niche, that are great characters, like even Kate Kane Batwoman, Midnighter Apollo. There's a ridiculously great amount of characters that just get thrown out of the wayside because they're not like Superman or Wonder Woman or Batman.
Right. Well, that's just it. I call it stolen gravitas. They want to promote certain personality traits or identity traits, but they don't want to put in the work. So we're just going to take Spider-Man. Guess what? Now he's black. And if you don't like it, you're a racist. No, make up a new character. Like at least they tried with Kamala Khan. Yeah. She's a dull character that's not being accepted. But the thing is, there are no bad characters. You could take a dull character, you give him a clever writer, and you could make this character interesting. I'm trying to think, like, nobody particularly cared for Rich Rider Nova. Like, he lasted 18 issues and was, I think, 25 issues. And then he was gone for like 15 years. And then they brought him back and they made him interesting. Now people are mad that they got rid of Richard Rider Nova. Why? Because they finally made a bland character that was kind of a ripoff of Peter Parker interesting. Just do that. Make interesting new characters. But the thing is, they're not creative.
They're not creative enough. Even Dan Slott had said that, like, the reason why you have to race or gender bend or sexuality bend is because it's because the newer characters don't automatically have the audience that, like, the
right.
new.
I'm like, so
put in the work.
Right. He's just admitting that we're lazy. My character, this new character it doesn't have the reach. Well, buddy, Spider-Man's been around since 1964. You got to build that reach. You're standing on the heads of other people. So I'm going to take Jack Kirby's characters or Steve Englehart's characters or whatever and change them to suit me. Well, then, so me and you get to write for Marvel. Do we get to change everything Dan Slott said? Oh, and if that's the point, you know what I mean? Then what is? Because I'm a big fan of continuity. Yeah. I've come to that conclusion only like a year or two ago. I liked Marvel more than DC. Because for the most part, Marvel had this continuity. Yes, there were little flaws in it, but that's what's going to happen when you have almost 70 years worth of a continuing story. But for the most part, Submariner is the ruler of Atlantis. The Fantastic Four are these people. This is their origin. Yeah, and it slides from we got to get to the moon before the Russians. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, they're all 125 years old.
Exactly.
Tony Stark wasn't in Vietnam. Now he's in another war. That's the thing you got to hand wave away with comic books. But Donald Blake was Thor. He found the hammer. Like, they kept the same stories. And if they changed, they bent the characters. Now they're just don't like that. Like, I really, really got disgusted with Marvel when I was reading. Ta-Nehisi Coates was writing Black Panther. Oh, and I love the Black Panther. I got every appearance of the Black Panther since his first appearance with Jack Kirby, and he kind of made Wakanda a bad place. They were just like, we have the cure for cancer, and we're not going to give it to you.
Oh, trust me. It got worse when he got on Captain America.
Right. I didn't even read. Like, I was just I was like, how am I supposed to be sympathetic for these people? Like, I
know.
So grandma's going to die because you feel that we haven't earned the right. I just thought they were like, oh, and they've been to the moon. And I was like, come on, knock it off.
Yeah, and it's like, and then they'll also say, well, like, say Wonder Woman's hard to write for, and I go, no, it's not. No, she's not, because there are plenty of other writers that did it pretty flawlessly. It's just you're not creative enough, or you have too big of an ego in order to decide, how do I write this character according to how she's actually supposed to be written, and not the way I wish she was written.
Right.
That's the problem there. It's like too many of these writers. They're too concerned with putting their stamp on it and not with, like, actually creating a good story.
I call it lifting their leg. They want to lift their leg all over these characters. What I mean? You can't do that. When Chuck Dixon was on my channel, he talked about Denny O'Neil. Denny O'Neil, famous writer for comics in the 60s and 70s, and then, like, from the late 80s and 90s, he was an editor. Till he retired, he was the editor at DC Comics. And most notably, he was in charge of Batman. And he told him, when Danny O'Neil told Chuck Dixon when he got hired, he says, we are the custodians of Batman. He goes, our job is to keep Batman lucrative for the company. He goes, Batman's going to pay your bills. Batman's going to put your kids through college. Batman's going to keep the lights on at DC Comics. He goes, so we're going to play with Batman. We're going to bend him. We're going to twist his head. We're going to bend his arms. He goes, but we're not going to break him. And we're going to put him back on the shelf for the next generation to play with Batman. So that next generation, Batman will pay their bills. They're not doing that anymore. Now they're breaking the toys. Wouldn't it be shocking if, we showed Batman full frontal nudity and
they did a story. They did a story that was during, like, a looting thing. It was during 2020, so you can imagine what they were doing. So it's like Batman's flying over Gotham. He sees some people looting a store. He flies in the opposite direction and says they have insurance.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so what good is Batman? Yeah. So that guy getting stabbed he has health insurance. Why should I save him?
Yeah, and that might. What's the point of being a superhero or a vigilante if you're just? I suppose your parents had life insurance, Batman. What's the point of anyone saving you?
Right, right. Yeah, your parents had insurance. How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, and it's because again you have these.
I didn't even know that. You actually got me angry.
Trust me. Trust me. There's plenty in modern comics to get angry about, but it's like. It's like the problem also is that then you had writers that want to like put in their own political messages in their thing with characters that don't agree with them. It's like you get the statements that comics have always been political, and I go, yeah, that's true, but they were never forced upon the characters that would at least not share those values.
Yeah, I point this out when comic books were only political. Yes, that's simplifying a complicated issue. First off, comics were always political, but these were written by people that fought wars, had houses, had jobs, had children, were fixing their own cars, and actually went in the street and talked to people of different political parties and persuasions, and mixed it up with people and didn't fight. Oh, you voted for you voted for Nixon. Well, I voted for, I don't even know who I voted for Kennedy kind of thing. And they got along. Nowadays, they live in an apartment with 14 roommates. They're not married. They have no children. They grew up, went to college, and then from college got this house. They have no life experiences. So they write politics based on never meeting a Republican. So of course, and then, so what my point is, yes, they were always political by people who understand the issues. And then the most famous example that they always bring up is hard traveling heroes with Green Lantern and Green Arrow. Green Lantern was the conservative, Green Arrow was the liberal, and they're traveling together in the car and the whatever. And it tanked. It bombed. We now we retroactively say it was the greatest thing. It was well drawn, Neil Adams artwork, and it was groundbreaking, but it sold so poorly that they dropped it, and they had to go back to regular comics. People didn't want politics in their comics. The Steve Englehart Captain America, where Captain America fights the secret empire, and then he takes the hood off one of the guys, and it's secretly the president. It's supposed to be Richard Nixon. You see, it sold so bad that Jack Kirby had to come and take over the series. You know what I mean? People didn't want it, And then they bring up, well, Superman was throwing bad landlords in jail and wife beaters and drunken drivers. I'm like, that's not politics.
Yeah.
Nobody likes bad landlords. Nobody likes drunk drivers. The left doesn't claim, being angry at bad husbands and wife beaters. You know what I mean? That's populism. So when they say there's always been politics in comics, it's like there's always been populism in comics. Nobody likes Nazis.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody likes Nazis, dude. What do you think you're special? Because you don't like Nazis.
Or it's like in Claremont's X-Men, where it's like, look, the reason why Claremont gets away with it, rightly so, is because he made it so if you are othered in literally any way, it doesn't matter what it is, this team is for you. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Asian, doesn't matter. This is a team that understands.
Right. When I was reading Claremont's X-Men, I loved the X-Men because I was a goofy kid that liked comic books.
Yeah.
I was the other.
Yeah.
And then this guy liked it because his family came from the Middle East, so he was the other. Everybody had a different reason, everybody. Now, the problem is once they specifically say what the X-Men represent, then ironically it becomes exclusionary.
Yeah, it definitely does, because and to a degree, yes. The problem with a lot of writers in there today is that they try and shoehorn it into only being about gay representation, which that's a part of it. Don't get me wrong. It's just the problem is they try and shoehorn in saying it's only that. When Claremont said, no, it wasn't only that. Even Stan Lee said it wasn't only that.
Right. And people forget the X-Men for most of its history. Well, I can't say most of its history now. I forget how many years, but up until the new X-Men, it was bi-monthly and it was actually canceled. I don't know why they had it reprinting, and they did the new X-Men as a last gamble. Nobody and Stan Lee said we don't want these social issues in comics. And read the new X-Men. I'm doing on Sundays. I'm doing Sunday comics. I just did this. I'm doing all the new X-Men, so I'm up to
Hell
X-Men
yeah.
101. So next week I'll do 102. So the X-Men have been around for almost over a year because it's still bi-monthly.
Yeah.
So X-Men's been around for over a year. There was one I don't like mutant story.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
most of it,
Nefaria attacks. You know,
most of it is just, hey, let's go do some fun superhero stuff. And
right.
I go, yeah, that's the way to do it.
You know, the Sentinels attacked for 2 issues. A demon attacked in another issue. And then next issue, they're fighting Black Tom Cassidy over the rights to Sean Cassidy's castle in Ireland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was adventure story. And then for most of Claremont's run, they were in space with space whales, you know, and then there was ninjas going on with Wolverine, you know, and it just seemed like 1995 came and it was just like, we're mutants, everybody hates us, and it just got to be, they became the whiniest team ever. I quit X-Men years before any other Marvel comic.
And here's the thing. Here's why the X-Men, once they turn them into that, don't work in Marvel continuity. Because how come people hate the mutants, but they're fine with like Johnny Storm or the God of Thunder saving them?
I'll tell you why they hate the mutants. Because they're assholes.
Yeah, exactly.
My biggest issue, the story that I always bring up is X-Men 200. So I think it was John Romita drawing it and Chris Claremont, but they capture Magneto. They bring Magneto to I forget the World Court. So he's being tried before the World Court for his trial. His powers are nullified and he's serving. We just want to be treated like everybody else is the X-Men's mantra. What do the X-Men do? They break him out and then hide him because mutants aren't going to get any justice in this world. How do you know? This is the trial.
Worse. So they recently did a whole era of X-Men where they took them off out of New York, put them on an island. They said, oh, we have all these we have cures for all these diseases. We're not going to give it to you because you have to earn it. You have to earn our trust. And then it's like, and then Magneto said, while you slept, new gods arose. And I go, oh,
so we're going to become xenophobic, high border. You know, you can't cross our borders.
Dictators.
You know, they became everything that they said Trump was.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
isn't that funny how that worked out?
And they became racial supremacists. You know, that's what I was leading to. Why do they hate the X-Men and not Johnny Storm? Johnny Storm isn't an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just hits on chicks. The X-Men are genetic supremacists. One of the issues Gambit leaves. I forget what issue it was, and they're all going, "Where did Gambit?" And somebody said, "I think he's going to rejoin the Thieves Guild." And Cyclops like, "We got to talk him out of it." Okay, that's fine. They're gonna talk their friend. Meanwhile, Gambit is off doing something else. They missed him, so they're racing. They're driving in the car. They're all packing in the car like Keystone Cops, and the cops start chasing them. So what does Cyclops go? We don't have time for this. He uses his eye beam. To blow out because they just want to be treated like everybody else. Because everybody else gets to assault the police and speed when they mistake where their friend is going. You know what I mean? They don't want to be treated like anybody else. You know, so they deserve all the persecution they get. You know.
Yeah. At a certain point, you're like, maybe Bolivar Trask had the right idea.
Right. What are you going to do? And then like Jean Grey and every once a year, Xavier turns into a bad guy.
And once a year, Jean Grey dies.
Right. You know, he turned into he turned into the Entity and beat the crap out of New York. He turned into Onslaught. How many people died when Onslaught attacked?
A lot.
You know what I mean? And then Xavier is just like, we don't have time for this. He's mentally manipulating people and changing memories and stuff like that. You know, I just don't like. I have a theory that Cyclops has been abused his whole life. Because you think about it, Cyclops, as a young child, he goes to Xavier's school. He was there. He was the first student. He was the youngest student, and he's being raised by a telepath. Who does he fall in love with? Another telepath. And then Jean Grey leaves his life. He gets married to a third telepath. Everybody that was significant in his life.
And then he gets in a relationship with Emma Frost, who is in herself a telepath. That's actually good. I never noticed that.
So I would like to see like a story where Cyclops is just like, is anything in my life been my decision? If I was, because I loved Cyclops. I loved, he was the good guy. He was cursed with power. He couldn't control it. He couldn't have a normal life. So he was a stick in the mud because he had to be. That kind of character always gets to me. Like, he's self-sacrificing. He's the leader. He has to make the hard decisions. And he's just, he can't go out and party and get drunk. He can't have a moment of like, damn you, and lose control, because people will literally die. So I always like that. So, of course, in this day and age where everything's self-indulgence, a character like that has to be the cop, the Fed, the bad guy. So they had just assassinated this guy. I would like him to just like one day just be like, somebody says to him, like, talks about his relationship, and he's just like, everybody who's been a major influence in my life was a telepath. Like, have I been like, I need to get out. I need to leave. And then have like a short, like 6-issue series of Cyclops, like going to Alaska as far away from any telepath and just doing like a, who am I? What am I? What's going on? And realizing that there's like maybe Doctor Strange or somebody like, yeah, your brain is covered with scars from psychic scars from all of these telepaths. Every time a telepath goes, they leave an impression. Your brain is just, you need to, and then Doctor Strange like cleanses him of all, and he realizes like he can control his powers. He's just like, and he's like, I've been making bad decisions, and this is all the X-Men, Xavier's. I want to have nothing to do with these people. I think the redemption of Cyclops, because I don't know, this character got more.
Because you can make it where like, can you imagine the twist if Xavier was the X-Men's main antagonist this entire time and they didn't know it?
I mean, they did the same thing in the Doom Patrol with the Chief. They made him the bad guy. So, but I just look at it like this. I told you before that we played a superhero role-playing game. We roll randomly for our powers, and I never tell people not to do this, but sooner or later, somebody, when they make it up a character, they roll mind control, and they're thinking about their character, and they're like, because you're allowed to drop a power to boost another power. They always drop mind control. They're like, and they all say the same thing. That's a bad guy power.
Yeah, because the fact that control is in the name as well, right. And I'm like,
you're taking away another human being's age. It's okay to punch him in the face, but it's not okay to take over their mind and remove their ability to decide that. And so Xavier has telepathy and mind control. It doesn't matter how good you are. That's like the One Ring. Sooner or later, you're going to succumb. Like one day, you just shut up. And next thing, that person shuts up. It just gets easier and like, does he even know he's influencing people?
He could be doing it and not knowing it. Same with Jean, same with Madeline, same with Emma.
Right. Emma is a horrible. I challenge anybody to read the Chris Claremont Hellfire Club.
I did. Now I like her now with the air quote redemption they gave her.
She cannot be redeemed.
Really?
No. Could Jeffrey Epstein be redeemed? Could Ghislaine Maxwell be? They were the Jeffrey. They were sexually abusing Jean Grey and other people. Read between the lines, and they were doing it to other people. The Hellfire Club was a sex club and they had telepaths that were using people against their will, and it made Jean Grey go berserk, caused the death of a planet. They were sex traffickers. Chris Claremont, you know what I mean? And now she's gonna like, are we gonna buy a comic book where Jeffrey Epstein redeems himself and goes around as a superhero? There comes like or Osama bin Laden, where he got captured by SEAL Team 6, never got killed, and now he wants to fight on the side of justice. No. Does the Red Skull get to redeem himself? There's certain villains that are irredeemable. And so if I was to take over the X-Men, when Scott Summers comes back after this cleanse, he's like, Emma Frost, get out of it. And everybody, she's like, I was waiting for this. And she has the whole team. She's been manipulating the whole team. That's one of the reasons why they went to Genosha or Krakatoa. She's been a manipulator.
Which, by the way, became an orgy island. So I wouldn't be surprised if they turn into a sex cult.
Well, there you go.
Wow. Yeah. Well, here's if I ran Marvel, I just walk in and say, all these people, they're all dead. Just kill them off.
There's too many X-Men. Everybody makes their pet X-Men. What Marvel needs, Tom Brevoort needs to go. He needs to
agree.
Go. he blocked me on Twitter because he said, "Hey, I'm celebrating my 35th year at Marvel Comics," and I said, "This is nothing to celebrate." I said, "You've been the custodian of the decline of Marvel Comics for 35 years." And
particularly in terms of like Spider-Man, the X-Men. Yeah, he's
he says,
0 for 2.
He goes, "I'm sorry, John, that comic books aren't as good as when you were 10." I said, "When I was 10 years old, we had Dark Phoenix, we had the Great Darkness Saga, we had Walt Simonson's Thor." I said, "That should be your goal. If you can't get to that level of you got to quit your job."
Yeah, exactly.
That was a self-owned there, Tom Brevoort. "I'm sorry, I can't make good comics," is what he basically said.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like he's done that many. The funny part is that they recently brought back their Ultimate Universe. Well, it's a different thing, but they're calling it Ultimate Universe. So it was during a time when the current Spider-Man run was like being ravaged online. So they're like, if you want Spider-Man with Mary Jane and married and having kids, go read Ultimate Spider-Man. Everyone went to go read Ultimate Spider-Man instead. If you give people alternatives, they're going like absolute Wonder Woman. As far as I'm concerned, that is actual Wonder Woman now, not whatever Tom King is writing.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like, yeah. And it's like the other thing is like, I tell my friend this because one of my co-hosts constantly is notorious on this channel for saying, well, DC is a mess, but Marvel seems to have it all together. And I go, have you read Marvel?
I quit Marvel and DC cold turkey in 2015.
So you didn't see Captain America become a Hydra agent?
No. And there comes a point where like a character like Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, he killed everybody in Coast City. He killed like a city with hundreds of thousands of people.
No. That was Mongol, I thought.
Well, when he became Parallax, didn't he kill a whole bunch of people?
He killed the entire Green Lantern
Corps. Okay, so he killed the Green. So that's okay. I misremember that. That was Mongol, but he killed his whole squad. You don't get to say, "Oh, I was mind controlled" or whatever. Like there comes a point, like where Denny O'Neil said, you bend the characters, you don't break them. Saying that Captain America always was a Nazi, and then I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody said they cosmic cubed that away.
Yep, they did.
You can't do no. You broke the character.
Once the audience sees, like, here's a good example of this. I have a debate with another one of my co-hosts about. So they gave Wonder Woman a daughter, written by Tom King. So this is really bad. So here's one of the times we see her interact with Diana. So they're doing like what I assume is the contest to become Wonder Woman, and Diana gives this beautiful speech about being an Amazon and being powerful and anything like that. Trinity says that that's a nice speech, Mom, but this isn't the time for softness, and punches Diana in the face. And then, by the way, King then retcons that Diana had punched her mom in the face. So I go, once you do this, that is what people are going to remember is these incidents. You can't yes, you can undo it in the story, but you can't undo it in the minds of the reader.
Yeah. My problem with DC is they reboot every couple of years.
Yeah.
So who cares? So they reboot it. Like I keep bringing up Denny O'Neil, but he's the best example of this. He would approve every panel in every comic. He would pour through it and he would tell artists redraw. Like when somebody got killed and Batman's picking up the gun and he's examining it, he goes, "Nope, they could take that panel out of context because Batman's holding a gun."
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "So what they did was they redrew the gun so he was picking it up by the barrel."
Mm-hmm.
Understood he was studying it,
okay.
Which makes more sense anyway because you don't want to mess with the fingerprints.
Yeah,
but because Denny O'Neil knew you don't break the characters, and didn't they make Wally West a serial killer?
Oh my God!
How do you recover from that?
I know they retconned it so it wasn't him. He was under the influence of the Reverse Flash, but still, it's like. That's what they forget. It's like, yes, you can undo it in the actual story. Yeah, okay, it didn't happen. The reader still remembers that happened.
I remember there was a Hulk run.
Yeah.
And Hulk went nuts on an airplane and destroyed the airplane.
Yeah.
And then the Avengers came and Thor came and they fight the Hulk, and it was a regular. And all I could think of was, there was 200, 300 people
Mhm.
on that plane that died. Like the Hulk killed more people than Mr. Hyde.
Mhm.
You know, and Mr. Hyde is an irredeemable villain. Like
Yeah.
Hulk. So like when World War Hulk came out, they said, I was like, they got to get rid of the Hulk. He
Mhm.
killed an airplane full of people. Like they didn't address it. They didn't say,
Yeah.
"Oh, we saved everybody." You know, Doctor Strange was it. Like they never addressed it. He turned into Hulk on an airplane. The airplane blew up in the sky. You know,
Everyone
you didn't
died.
see 200 parachutes flopping out. You know what I mean? Like what they did on G.I. Joe. So I'm like, you know, Mr. Hyde who fights the Hulk. Did he kill 300 people? And he's a villain. We all hate him.
Mhm.
Has the Wrecking Crew killed 300 people? But the Hulk did, and I'm supposed to believe he's still a good guy now. Like you can't cross the line. Like they always said, the Hulk would go on rampages, and they would always put it like General Ross would be like, "Banner's still in control. He swerved at the last minute. You know, he knocked over that building, but that building was empty." They always made it so the Hulk never crossed that line to becoming a murderer. You know,
Yeah.
that's what the Hulk is now. Now he's a monster.
Yeah, and it's like the creatives justify it by trying to say, well, I was going back to the original intention of the character, and I go, yeah, but you left out, like you said, when they literally told you, oh yeah, he went out of the way, or or he knew that was an empty building, so he wanted to go smash it. I mean, even in like World War Hulk, when he came back, he goes, I want everyone to evacuate from New York because I'm going to smash it, but I don't want to kill anyone.
Right, like the Submariner in the Fantastic Four, I forget what number it was, but he unleashed a tidal wave on Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
How many people did he kill?
A lot.
Right, because I've seen, and they had like tidal waves that were like as big as skyscrapers. I've seen rain. I work in Manhattan. I've seen rain killing people because like electric shocks from boxes and you know getting filled and the splices exposed and people, you know, people falling down, people getting trapped. And that's just from rain and floods. A tidal wave as tall as the Empire State Building killed 100,000 people.
Yeah, easily.
How is this guy on the, like, and that was Jack and Stan, but he was a villain. And then they redeemed. It's like, no, every time the Submariner showed up after that, I'm like, no, he's a foreign enemy of the state.
Oh, trust me, I hate Namor.
Yeah, I like him because he's an ass, but like, they need to say like, he warned everybody, but still he did property damage. You know what I mean? He killed more New Yorkers than Bin Laden.
Arguably, he's a terrorist.
Right. He's Emperor Tojo of Japan because he's the head of the state of a foreign.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So like you can't you bend the characters. You don't break unless like if you're gonna cross that line, you got to cross that line forever. Yeah. And another thing that bothers me is Barry Allen died the greatest superhero death all time. Yeah. And then they brought him back. And now I'm like,
it's because there was this writer named Jeff Johns that was like constantly trying to get back to like to the age of comics where that's the other thing. They're too married to the age of when they were into comics and not like so they want to bring back stuff like Hal Jordan, like Barry Allen and such. But I'm like,
right. We all do it, myself included.
Yeah.
That we want comic books to be like we were when we were 14. You know, if you were a comic book guy when you were 14, that was the best. If you were, you know, and I argue with people because a lot of guys are younger than me. And when they were 14, Image Comics, which I'm not a big fan of, were coming out. Spawn and Cyberforce and all that stuff. And that's what they love. And it's useless to argue with them because they were 14 years old. What you loved at 14, that car that you liked, that girl that you had a crush on, that dinner that you had, that's what you're going to like for the rest of your life if you're an American guy. What you liked at 14 is what you like when you're 35, what you like when you... So I'm like that too. Like my comic heroic tales is harkens back to the 80s. Yeah. You know, but you also have to understand that times move on. Yeah. And I keep joking about if I was to take over Marvel and I would take over DC, I would have to acknowledge everything because I'm a continuity guy. Like I'd have to acknowledge all of the stuff that I didn't like about the X-Men. But what you do is you work like perfect example of changing continuity is the Winter Soldier. Bucky was dead. And it used to be a thing. Nobody stays dead except Uncle Ben and Bucky.
Yeah. And Jason Todd.
And when they told me that Bucky was coming back, I was livid. I was like, you can't do this. You can't do this. But the story won me over. It was a fantastic story, and they did
If you
it
tell a good story, people will
right.
allow more stuff.
Right. So what they could fix Marvel through good storytelling. Yeah, Matt Barr is in the chat. He says the illusion of change. Yes, we need the illusion of change. But sometimes things do change. Barry Allen died. Sorry, Jeff Jones. I'm a big Jeff Jones fan. I've been trying to get Jeff Jones on my channel. I love his writing. I think he saved Marvel. He saved DC during a time. But he also, they gave him a little bit too much, like bringing Barry Allen back.
Hal Jordan and all that stuff.
Hal Jordan shouldn't have come back. He died. I'm sorry, but once you commit to the bit, unless you're rebooting the entire universe, which I can't stand either.
Again,
Then dead's got to mean dead. Bringing, I was about to say, bringing Jean Grey back, I'll give you an exception. If your name is Phoenix, you get to come back from the dead. But other than that, dead should be dead. It's like Greek mythology. How many heroes went down to the underworld and came out? It's
very few, few, if any.
I was making a point that a lot of them did.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. All right.
It's Orpheus. I can't remember the girl's name, but a lot of these guys, it got to be the point where it was just Hercules did, Perseus.
Well, it's like with that, they at least made it so like it was like an actual place that you can leave.
But Aeneas was the last one who did it. By the time I was reading Aeneas, I was like, big deal. It's like, so you're the next guy.
It's like they did an event that's called Death of the Justice League, and no one took it seriously to the point where they did an article that says, "Don't worry, the Justice League comes back to life." And it was like, no crap, they're coming back to life.
Right. I remember in 6th grade, I was, the kid that brought comic books to school, and my teachers were like, if you finish all your work, you could read John's comics. And I was like an event, like a televangelist trying to get everybody to read comics. So. But I remember this kid, Andy, he was like, I don't like comic books. I was like, what do you mean you don't like comic books? He goes,
everyone says that at first.
He goes, the good guys always win. Big deal. And I was like, yeah, but it's, and he's like, they always win. And if they die, they're going to come back. It's all predictable. And I'm like, they do always come back. Like I had no comeback for that. It's like, but it's the journey, the storytelling, the struggle, which is why I think Batman's more popular than Superman now, because they don't know how to make Superman struggle anymore. He's too powerful.
Have him fight a villain he can't actually punch, like Parasite, and have him think through it, because people forget that he's also super freaking smart.
Right. Yep.
Oh, the other thing is like Jeff Johns royally screws up on Wonder Woman consistently. The man cannot write a good Wonder Woman story to save
Wonder
his
Woman's
life.
a tough character to write, but I
to a degree, but it's like you have to actually know the character in order to actually write her pretty well, because if you know how to write Diana, you should be good.
What John Byrne's one of my favorite comic book people of all time, and he did a run on Wonder Woman, and it's not one of my favorite Wonder Woman runs, and it's not one of my favorite John Byrne runs, because he just got concerned with fixing her continuity.
Yeah.
Like Roy Thomas is one of the legendary comic book writers, but he would get hung up on fixing continuity rather than telling a story. It's like, Roy, I'm 14 years old. I don't remember this comic book from 1972. Just tell me a good story right now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Roy Thomas wrote a story of why Submariner had black shorts in the 40s and green shorts in the 60s. Does it matter? People change their clothes.
Yeah, it happened.
I don't need a comic book. But anyway, John Byrne, one of the things that he did was he had Hippolyta go back in time, and she was the Wonder Woman of the Justice Society.
Yeah.
And then, because the Crisis of Infinite Earths, the sliding scale, there was no Wonder Woman as a founding member of the Justice. So John Byrne, and I'm like, why? It just overcomplicates things.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just but it's like it's again, he wants to be known as the guy that like fixed Wonder Woman continuity. I'm like, no, but all people are going to remember you for is trying to fix continuity or like confusing stuff instead of writing a good story. It's like that's what George Perez. That's why Perez is so good, because he focused on telling great stories about Diana first. Yes, he played with her continuity and her stories a little bit, but always it was in service of the story.
Correct. The story is number one. I'm a big continuity guy.
Yeah.
But continuity means nothing if the stories suck.
Oh,
Matt Barr is in the chat. If Matt's still in the chat, when he was on my channel, we came up with this goofy idea that I'm the guy. You're coming to Marvel Comics. I'm the boss, and I'm going to hire you. My first question is, what's your first comic book you ever read? And if you don't immediately, because every comic book fan could go on for 2 hours about the first comic book they ever read. You know, oh, my first comic book was a Fantastic Four 187 with the Molecule Man and Reed Richards this and the Impossible Man did this and the thing. Blah, blah, blah. If you can't just spurg out like that, that's a red flag. The second question is, show me a picture of your comic book collection. And I don't want to see you pick up your phone and you got some digital comicsology account. I want to see pictures of your comic book collection. You know, that, and if you can't do those two things, I'm like, help yourself to some comic books on the way out next, because you got to know comics. You got to love comics. Like that. I don't.
I'll do it right now. One of my first comics was Superman, Wonder Woman. They were exploring, like, because at the time of the New 52, they established that Superman and Wonder Woman were dating. There was this great story where, like, Wonder Woman and Superman are having a debate about the whole secret identity thing. Then she brings Superman to meet her family. Apollo, the god of the sun, screws with Superman, blasts him with sunlight, and Superman goes, "You don't know that much about. You just hit me with sunlight, you idiot," and then threw him out of a mountain. Then they fought Faora and Zod, which was really dope.
See, you can talk about it. Yeah. If you want to share this picture, this is my comic collection.
Oh wow, God, Yancey, a nice touch with the Yancey Street.
Right? This is right behind me. You know what I mean? Like,
nice.
You want to work in comics? Show me a comic. I want to see long boxes. I want to see stacks and stacks of dog-eared comic books. I don't want to see 3 slabbed comics and a comicology report. You do not deserve to work in comic books.
It's because too many people want to use comic books as a stepping stone to another job. Now, if you're going to work in comics, you have to your point, you have to love comics and want to stay in comics. Now, you don't always stay in there, but it's like that's your intention at that moment.
Right. I would ask people, like, you know, this is a line from a movie, but like, what's the best Mac Graboy run? And then just wait for their response and just stare at them, make them uncomfortable. Oh, you don't even know who Mac Graboy is? How do you work in comp? Like, if I remember, what's her name? Iggy Azalea.
Mm-hmm.
She was being interviewed by Rolling Stones, and they asked her if you're a big Iggy Pop fan. And she goes, "Who's Iggy Pop?" And they were just like, "How could you be named Iggy in music and not know who Iggy Pop is?" You know what I mean? It's like if your business, you, like, I'm an electrician. I know the history of electrical work. Like, I know old tools. You know what I mean? Things like that. You need to know stuff for your craft. If you're an artist, I'm sure comic book. I kind of get fast. I get jealous because I can't draw to save my life. But when I see 2 artists on my channel and they start talking about these nibs are this and 4 micro leans and this ink over here, blah blah blah. They geek out. It looks so much fun, and I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
If you want to write comic books, you got to start talking about, like, you know, who Willie Lumpkin was, and you know, and when did he first appear? You know, Strange Tales was originally Steve Ditko's showcase, and it was all monsters before it became Doc. You got to know all that stuff. Like, if you don't think you're a sports announcer, you know, like, these numbers, these stats of all these obscure baseball players. Like, you know, I worked in the Mets scoreboard room for 5 years, and I was not a sports fan. And I was excluded from, not on purpose, just I couldn't participate in these conversations. They would be like, "Oh, you know, Phil Moskowitz is up to bat. If he swings to the left, it'll be the 4th time since 1972." Blah, blah. Oh yeah, but if he swings to the left, these guys knew baseball, and how I got in that job. Well, I got in that job because I didn't know baseball, because I had to keep track of stuff, and guys who in my position started watching the game. And oh crap, you know what I mean? I could care less about so, you know what I mean? That's why I got the job. They asked me, "Do you like baseball?" I said, "I hate baseball." They said, "You're hired." Because everybody, you know. But anyway, Marvel Comics, if you want to work for them, you got to know it. You got to have like an autistic love and encyclopedic. Yes, this is gatekeeping. Gatekeeping 100%.
You have to at a certain point. And it's like, here's the thing, and this is what I tell people, because I'm the guy that started a social media hashtag to get Tom King off the Wonder Woman book. But the reason why I did that is because I have a saying: if the companies aren't going to protect the integrity of these characters, it's up to the fans to do it themselves. And it's like, to that point, if they're not going to gatekeep people and say you can't write this character or you can't work here because you don't understand the medium, I'm sorry, that's just the way it works.
Yeah, so many good comments here. I keep thinking I'm on my channel. I'm trying to click on something.
Like, show me your comic collection. Wow, John, I love comics, but I don't have a collection. What do you call me? Pretenders?
No. There's nothing wrong with being a newbie, and there's nothing wrong with being a casual.
I started out as a newbie, after all.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, do you appreciate it? Do you start saying, well, the Black Panther is obviously racist and blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, you're not correct. You're not the actual guy, And also, Omnipro, you're not going down to Marvel and DC to change the characters to what you think they should be. You know what I mean? That I'm talking to the point when you have your ass in Marvel Comics chairs and you're writing Spider-Man, you have to achieve that. You have to earn that. You know, back it used to be you did some fanzine. Then you did some black and white comic that sold 500 copies. Then you worked with a bigger indie and you worked your way up to Marvel. Now they literally recruit you. And what's her name? Who wrote America Chavez back?
I have no idea. I know the character. Oh my God, that character.
She literally never read or wrote a comic book in her life. She wrote a YA novel about a lesbian who wanted a bicycle, and they hired her to write this comic, and she had no business writing, to the point when she was explaining what she did, she was laughing about how ridiculous America Chavez is. And then they hire Sana Amanat, who she worked for Virgin Atlantic they had a small comic line that died. So she killed her only job in comic books before that was she ran a comic book company into the ground within 6 months. That was backed by Virgin money. And now she's running Marvel Comics. Where did that come from? I can't help but be a conspiracy theory. I think like, now that we find out that US aid is discontinued, like, was that funding Marvel and DC?
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, because after that got hit, so many other things started. But Barry Soda Jerk takes your thing. See, he can talk about his favorite comic book run and tell you something about it. That's it. Yeah, because you have to show me that, because the company should be for the people that really love the characters and want to contribute, not change. Contribute.
Right. You want to add to the mythology. You want to put another brick on that wall.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to destroy that wall and rebuild it. Exactly.
And yeah, DC has never truly appreciated Wonder Woman. I agree with you on that one. It's like, to a certain degree, it feels like they don't hire enough people that know what to do with her, because there are plenty of creatives that I trust, that, like, I respect, that would do great jobs, but they don't give them the character. And I go, okay, that's a problem. If you're giving a character that historically has like been, if you're giving a character to a writer, and that writer has been controversial at most, doesn't have really have a desire to write her, because he really doesn't. They had to pitch it to him writing Wonder Woman. So I go, that's a problem. It should be more of the creative saying, hey, I have this great idea for a Wonder Woman run. But no.
Right. I agree. What's your pitch? And keep the same team on for a year or two.
Yeah, exactly. See what happens.
Let them develop subplots and side characters. Get the kinks out. Now if it doesn't sell, there's a whole new team every 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so let's talk about Heroic Tales issue 2. So let's check this out. All right, I'll share screen.
Sure. Heroic Tales. Now you talk about language. So
yeah, there you go.
Heroic Tales issue 1 came out last year. It shipped on time, and it got pretty good reviews. Now it's my love letter to Bronze Age Marvel Comics.
Dope.
It's all ages. Now, a couple of people misinterpreted when I said all ages. All ages. Star Wars was all ages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in Star Wars, a guy got his arm cut off by a lightsaber in a bar.
Yeah, it's not like for kids, like on the Disney Channel.
I think kids could read, so it's all ages. The Hellfire Club about sex trafficking.
Yeah, exactly.
All ages comics. So if you didn't see it in the Bronze Age, you're not going to see it in my comics. So there's suggestive, there's violence. So one woman got upset by one of the panels in the and it's an upsetting panel, and it's supposed to be upsetting because villains do bad things. But keep that in mind. So it's all ages. It's not children. So anyway, I'm trying to make people understand that. But each issue is supposed to debut a superhero. The first issue debuted the Patriarch, and I got really tired of turning on the TV and seeing that the fathers and husbands were always the butt of every joke.
Yep.
So I wanted to make like, toxic masculinity. So I was like positive masculinity. So the Patriarch is a male superhero. He's a loving father. He's a devoted husband. He loves his city. He wants to make the city great to raise his children. There he is right there.
Yeah, there you go. Great. I see the Greek mythology inspiration.
Yeah, he's the Roman Empire. He's got the purple from the Roman Empire, the gold laurel leaf, and then white to symbolize purity and goodness. I love that costume so much. So he's the longest, most beloved superhero in my world. He's been a superhero for 25 years. He's not the most powerful, but he's the most beloved, respected, and goodest of the good. And I don't want to give away spoilers, but there's things in his life that he's dealing with that he needs to deal with. The second issue, I was going to debut a character called Mary Sue. If you could scroll up, you could see or scroll down rather. Yeah, there's Mary Sue.
That's such a great name.
People will get mad at me because we like the Patriarch. So I'm like, oh man, am I shooting myself in the foot? You got to give people what they want. So I decided to make Heroic Tales 2 stories in every issue.
That's a cool idea.
So every issue is going to have the Patriarch, and then because I wanted every issue to have a different character. So I'm like, maybe if it was monthly, I could do that, but I can't do monthly. So this is 22-page Patriarch story, and I think a 15, 16-page Mary Sue story. Overall, the comic is 40 pages, $10. Best, and it's a flip book, so I couldn't decide who was the main character. So you could flip it over for Mary Sue, you could flip it over for Patriarch. So now Mary Sue is the perfect girl.
Okay, I see.
And we find out that being perfect ain't all it cracked up to be. So she was a 4.0 student. She never drank. She never smoked. She's a good girl. She gets teased because she's perfect. She goes to college and all the other girls are making fun of her because all she wants to do is study. She's not going to the parties. You know what I mean? Because her grandmother says that she's perfect. So she's living up to her. Now she gets the power to rewrite reality. And she doesn't know she has the power. This is her origin. So she's starting to realize that having choices to rewrite reality is a responsibility, and she doesn't understand all the outcomes all the time. So she does something in this because she doesn't know she has powers in this issue. She does something, and then next issue we're going to see the ramifications of what she did. So I really like this character. I'm kind of goofing on the girl boss.
I figured by the name of Mary Sue, so I'm like, oh, okay, there you go.
Her name literally is Mary Sue, S-U. It's a Chinese name. Her grandparents fled Mao Zedong in China because they were Roman Catholic. So who was either convert, flee, or die. They chose flee. And they went penniless to Flushing, Queens. And through hard work, the immigrant story, they run Sue Mart. And she grows up wealthy, intelligent, cute, and then she gets ultimate superpowers. So the next issue, I'm going to continue with Mary Sue's story, and then I'm going to introduce the Raven, a mix between Punisher and Batman. And we're going to show you what happens when you're not grounded. Do you really want a masked vigilante creature of the night superhero in your town? It sounds good when it's Batman, but what if you're not as good as Batman? So
what if he's a psychopath?
Yeah, what if I gave the spoiler already? What if you're a masked vigilante and in the middle of a fight your wife calls you and says she wants a divorce? He's out actively,
I see where this is going.
He's out actively looking for villains to beat up because he can't go home and beat up his wife. The Raven is a jerk.
Well, he has an outlet. There you go.
The Raven is he's so Mary Sue and Patriarch are pure good. So I'm playing with the idea of a flawed superhero to show you don't want that. Like I don't like the boys. I got to admit, writing the Raven is fun, but you're not supposed to
He's
idolize.
not supposed to be the rule. He's supposed to be the
Right.
exception to the
And
rule.
so every issue, I think I'm going to do 2 stories with every character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 2 issues with every character. But people like the Patriarch so much. My next campaign is going to be Patriarch number 1,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm going to do Patriarch Heroic Tales, Patriarch Heroic Tales. You know, because I haven't told his origin yet. So
Okay.
Patriarch number 1 is going to be the origin of the Patriarch. 40 pages, $10. My comics are the best deal in crowdfunding.
They really are. They really
deliver
are.
on time. 40 pages of look at this artwork.
Yeah, it looks
This
great.
is the interior art. If you scroll down, you see the interior art. I'm not hiring a good artist and colorist and then giving you garbage inside. You know, this is the variant covers. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this just happened. This was a cosplay cover. I sent the T-shirt to Martina Marcota, and they
Not bad.
posed, and I was like, all right, I got to make a cover.
Oh,
But
wow. The art is really good.
Yeah, this is the interior art. This is Renzo Rod. That's the Patriarch's wife.
Mm-hmm.
There's no lettering in there because the
Mhm.
lettering isn't finished yet. That's the last thing we got to do, and then we're ready to print.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, something happened to the Patriarch's wife. I didn't tell you yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let you know about that in issue 2 of the Patriarch.
Okay.
But he wants to stay home with his wife and 7 children. This literally is the next day after issue 1. And if you see issue 1, he was run ragged.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just like, I'm staying home today. And she says, oh, the kids miss you so much. We're going to play Dungeons and Dragons. And he's like, good. And she's like, I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to go make breakfast. Just sleep in. I'll wake the kids when breakfast is ready. What does he do? He turns on the TV and he sees the news. And he's a good guy. He has to
he
go.
runs out. He's got to go save people.
Yeah. You know, I want people to understand he wants to spend time with his family. He wants to spend time with his kids.
It's kind of playing off the whole Spider-Man with great power comes great responsibility thing.
Right. Like you know, and right here, that's the mayor of Science City. The Patriarch knows he's a villain. The Lucius Cain, the mayor, knows the Patriarch knows that he's a villain, but like Lex Luthor, you can't just beat him up. You know what I mean? There's no proof.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a woman reporter, Regina Lopez, who's a stalker.
Okay.
She's stalking him for a really sad reason that I'll tell that story in also Patriarch number 2.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, no moral of the story. Don't watch the news.
Yeah, exactly. That'll save you for like so many different ways. And then here's Mary Sue. I take it.
Yeah, this is the Mary Sue. So this is the origin of Mary Sue. Look at this art. Look at this coloring.
Really good.
This is really good. Like the goal of this was I imagine this would be on the spinner racks next to John Byrne doing the Fantastic Four, next to George Perez doing the Teen Titans.
It looks like that.
And this would have a chance of actually being sold.
It really looks perfect. For lack of a better term, it looks professional, like it came from one of the big 2.
That's my goal. Is it looks professional. Like a lot of people like the comic. A lot of people gave me good reviews. Even the people that didn't give me good reviews all said it looked great and it was a well done package.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and nobody complained about the price. I wish I could be cheaper, but we can't in this field. I would like to get it into stores someday. Maybe when I get 6 issues, I could do like a limited run in stores and go to Image Comics or something like that. You know, but this is legit. R.J. Williams said he reviewed my book. He's got a book called Sign Orion that I can't wait for. So, you know, check out. But this is I made these little coins. I love coins.
Cool.
I got a Patriarch shirt. I got a Mary Sue shirt. I was like, what swag would a dad superhero like?
Yeah, there you go.
A beer glass. Each I'm gonna make 7 cards for every comic, and I'm gonna release a card for every $1,000 as a stretch goal, and then the rest of the cards you could buy as a set. Right now, the 5K should show the Subterranean card. It's not up yet, but we released the Mary. So if you back issue number 2, you're gonna get a Mary Sue card, and I need to explain this because a couple of people are confused. So like this is a card from the first campaign. This is the villain. On the back is the Villains and Vigilantes character sheet.
Okay, that's cool.
Didn't understand this. They're like, I don't understand this. They go, it looks like old what's the word? graphic design. I'm like, yeah. It's supposed to come out in 1982. as a supplement to Villains Vigilantes. This is exactly what it looked like. So a couple of people were confused. So I need to explain
That's
that better.
cool.
So if you buy this comic book and you buy the Villains Vigilantes rule book, which is $5 at Fantasy Games Unlimited, you could play my characters in your game. You know,
That's actually really cool.
Oh,
That's actually,
all dirty fatties. Thank you.
actually,
This just came in yesterday.
oh, geez, that looks dope as
This-
hell. Hey, hang on. I'll
Everybody likes
full
King
screen you.
Fu. So I made a hoodie.
That is so cool.
So here's
okay.
so it's goofing on the Count Dante ad. So it says the Memphis King Fighting Society on the front,
That is so cool.
and then here's the hoodie. It's a legit hoodie. You can put it in a wash and everything. And then this is the back.
Oh, that is dope.
You know, King Fu is the world's greatest martial artist and Elvis impersonator.
Mm-hmm.
So look at that dragon. It looks like
That
Elvis.
is so
This
dope.
is awesome. I can't wait for fall to wear this outside. Right now, I'll just be a sweaty mess.
Hell yeah.
But so, you know, the cards, I ordered the cards. I ordered all 7 cards. They'll be here next week. Oh my God. I got a bunch of artists working for me. I just sent a story to Ron Mosicki last night. He absolutely loved it. Luke Stone is drawing a story. Stippling Vaughn is drawing a story. So I'm hoping to get faster. As much as I love Renzo, he's one guy, and you know, and he's working for a couple of other people. So I want to have Heroic Tales, one Renzo story, one somebody else. This issue, both stories are Renzo. I mean, you can't complain about that artwork. It's so
it looks ridiculously good.
yeah. Like I said, it's right now it's live on Fund My Comic. Fund My Comic is going to be my home. It's always going to be live on Fund My Comic until the next issue, and then I close down. It's in demand, but it's also on Kickstarter. So if you know, I'm not going to tell you where to back it. I don't care where you back. You know, I'm not one of these people. I don't like Indiegogo just for me. They shadow banned me, so that's. But now that GameFound bought Indiegogo, I might go back. I'll give them a second chance. But if you go to Kickstarter or Fund My Comic, it'll help me so much. You could get issue number 1. You could get issue number 2.
That's what I'll do.
Get a bundle of all the covers. You know, I not joking. It is a labor of love. I'm learning I'm getting better and better with every issue. Oh my God. Renzo just sent me a page last night that I showed a few people. I can't show it because it spoils too much. And people are like, that's Renzo? Oh my God. He got so much better. And he was awesome to begin with. So every issue is getting better and better and better. I was asked to write a story that's going to be I hate to say this, a legit comic in comic book stores with one of their characters crosses dimensions and meets my characters. So it's going to be, you know, so I think that would be an awesome way to get my characters out there. He promised he'll do like a little ad to get my stuff. And then later on, I'll probably republish it in Heroic Tales, you know, but whatever. A lot of stuff is happening. A lot of stuff. I got an homage to like 80s black and white comics called Eddie is Doomed. That is a completely different comic. I got a historical mythological comic that I'm dying to tell you.
I can't wait.
I'm dying to tell you, but it's based on actual history and actual mythology. It's marrying the
hell
two.
Yeah.
And oh my God, the art is so good. It's gonna be painted. So,
oh geez, are you kidding me?
I want that to be like, you know, if the comic book comes out next year and then 2 years from now I get hit by a bus, people are gonna be like, that comic was awesome. That's how he's gonna be remembered.
So it's like Alex Ross, in other words.
No, it's not gonna be. It's gonna look like we're trying to get it to look like turn of the century wood cuttings and then paint.
Oh, that's so cool.
You know what I mean? So it's like old school, like old school. Like if you picked up Edith Hamilton's mythology. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is really dope.
And Omnipro says, I bet John's a great game master. My $100,000 stretch goal, you know, I joke because we're at 6,000, but it's not a joke, is I will fly Renzo and Rini and all of these comic book people to my house, and I'm gonna feed them nothing but White Castle pizza and Funyuns, and we're gonna make up role-playing characters of their superhero comics, and I'm gonna run the game, and I'm gonna try to kill all their characters.
Welcome to hell.
You know,
That's
so
so great.
Lorenzo will be the patriarch. You know, Rini will be one of her characters from Fiendish. Vaughn will be one of his characters from Phenomenova. You know, everybody. You know, Billy Tucci lives 10 minutes away. Maybe I could get him down here to be Chi. You know, and do martial arts. But that's the rules. You got it. Nothing but soda, nothing but pizza, nothing but Funyuns and White Castle.
That sounds like a good old time.
We're gonna role play properly.
Hell yeah,
There's
that sounds great.
Nothing healthy in this basement.
Well, back it so that'll happen, people. You gotta to make that happen.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think that's a good point I made to call it. But John, thanks for coming on. I look forward to backing.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun, buddy. Come on my channel.
Hell yeah, anytime, man. And you're always welcome on here. I'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, you were very fun to talk to, and I'm sorry if I talked a lot. I got excited.
It's all good. That's always the thing about doing interviews. Like, how much am I talking? How much are they talking?
It's funny that you said that, because if you watch my first year of interviews,
yeah,
all I did was talk over everybody, because I'm a terrible. And my wife actually got me to pay attention and stop talking. But since I'm a guest on your channel, I talk a lot. But if you're on my channel, I try.
It's all good.
I try to give the guys, enough mic time. I'm terrible though. I just like to talk.
We'll see. And I definitely. I hope to show you my comic one day.
Yeah. Oh, you got a comic? Come on my channel. We'll talk about it.
Hell yeah.
Message me, because my memory is Swiss cheese these days.
Absolutely no problem. But I put the link to Heroic Tales in the description on there. So if you guys want to back you guys at Comics League, go ahead. And then I will see you guys later. Stay heroic. And John, again, you're always
this was a lot of fun, man. This was a blast. I enjoy comics. I enjoy talking about comics. I try not to be a drama farmer. I fail spectacularly at times, but I'm weak, guys. I'm only human.
It's all good. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.